The Transformers film set the trend for enormous set pieces and enormous explosions, as well as a lack of attention paid to the plot. The first film's MacGuffin centers around the Allspark, which is the first of many ancient Transformers artifacts that can change the war. Throughout the film, Optimus repeats that if he is unable to defeat Megatron, he will put the Allspark in his chest. Ratchet tells him, and the audience, that the Allspark could kill him, the implication being that the cube will be a power-up, one that Optimus would use to defeat Megatron. Yet, when Sam points it at Megatron and apparently thinks really hard, it dissolves the Allspark and kills Megatron. Why didn't they do this before? Optimus is pleading for Sam not to do this, so did Optimus not know that would happen? If Optimus didn't know, how would Sam? This is the climactic finale of the film, and the more you think about it, the less sense it makes. As we said before, this movie set the trend for the rest of the series, so get ready for more head-scratching moments like this. Some of the goofs in these movies break the entire climax, while others just seem pointless and strange. Jumping ahead to the fifth film in the franchise, Transformers, The Last Night is marred by a flurry of narrative and technical errors. This ranges from the changing of aspect ratios from shot to shot within a single scene, to characters forgetting the events of other films. One mistake is quite baffling, and it has to do with everyone's favorite Autobot, Bumblebee. While in his car form, his make and model change without explanation. This is most noticeable when you look at his doors. In some scenes, they're traditional swinging doors. Then in others, they're scissor style. Was this Bumblebee's way of messing around with Cade Yeager, or did the production team think we wouldn't notice? Either way, it's one of those things that, once you notice it, you won't be able to unsee. We alluded to this earlier, but there's another glaring mistake in The Last Night that pertains to Bumblebee. And no, we're not talking about the bizarre retcon that he was somehow in World War II fighting Nazis. The main selling point of this film was Nemesis Prime, in which Optimus has turned evil, forcing Bumblebee to fight him. The fight goes on for a few minutes, and, of course, Optimus gets the upper hand. Just as he is about to kill Bumblebee, Bee speaks to Optimus using his voice. "I am Bumblebee." This snaps Optimus out of the mind control as he says, "Your voice. I have not heard it since Cybertron fell." This is not entirely true, as the first film ends with Bumblebee stating that he wants to stay with Sam. Clearly, Optimus has taken too many bumps to the head. This scene is yet another example of the production either not caring or not being careful enough to revisit the lore it had already established. Because of how glaringly wrong this mistake is, it feels like they couldn't think of a better reason to knock Optimus out of his funk, so they decided to bite the bullet on this one. Unfortunately for them, we still noticed. This next mistake is apparent in a lot of Michael Bay movies. As a visually oriented filmmaker, he takes considerable liberties with continuity in scenes, opting to create a beautiful shot rather than focusing on the details. We get a dose of this within the first 10 minutes of the franchise when a Decepticon Blackout attacks the military base to open the film. His introduction is intercut with Josh Duhamel's character having a video call. When they cut from the dusk lighting with Josh to the dead of night lighting during Blackout's transformation, the mistake becomes very obvious. Although this is the first time we see it, there are numerous other incidents like this in the series. Another instance of a similar continuity error is in Revenge of the Fallen, when Sam, Michaela, Leo, and Simmons get teleported from Washington to Egypt. It is still daytime, despite being on the other side of the world. Yet another example of Bay opting for beauty over logic. The second Transformers film, Revenge of the Fallen, had a famously troubled production. This film was one of the big blockbusters caught during the writer's strike, which meant that a significant portion of the film's narrative was developed on the fly by the non-writing team. One error comes during Megatron's resurrection scene. When the Decepticons sink to the bottom of the ocean, it is noted that there are 5 Energon signatures. When they reach the bottom, they kill one to give its parts to Megatron. When Megatron is revived, they all fly up and state that there are 6 Energon signatures, despite there only being 5. One would expect a military officer to be able to count, so this is likely due to the production not adding up the math correctly. As we mentioned, Revenge of the Fallen has several mistakes. many of which are disguised in a flurry of yelling and explosions. That's true for this next one. Following a chase scene, new characters Skids and Mudflap get into yet another tussle. Okay, I'm alright. This is combat, man. Brace, man. What's wrong with you? During this scene, the animators must have forgotten who voiced who, because the voices get swapped. Somehow along the way, someone got confused, which led to Tom Kenny, who voiced Skids, swapping robots with Reno Wilson, who voiced Mudflap. The level of this mistake is quite surprising because of just how long it takes to animate, render, and reanimate every scene with a Transformer, not to mention the hundreds of people who look at each shot. It is quite amazing that a mistake like this made it through. The Michael Bay Transformers movies are set apart from the rest of the canon, having their own rules and lore. Despite the constant changes, some rules have stood the test of time. When the Transformers arrive on Earth, they are seen scanning various cars. This is what changes them into their iconic designs. Before they scan, we see them all as vague robot figures. This is important to note because in Transformers, Dark of the Moon, the Autobots find Sentinel Prime's body in a ship on the moon. When they return him to Earth to revive him, he is already in his iconic red and black design. We never see him scan a truck. He is already that design. This breaks the established laws of the Transformers movies. Was Sentinel already an Earth truck when he went into space nearly 40 years prior? While time travel may seem outlandish, this is Transformers we're talking about. Despite all their flaws, there is no doubt that these films are a technical marvel of special effects. Even with all the painstaking time and money poured into every frame, there are bound to be a few slip-ups that make their way through. One of those happens in Dark of the Moon, when Megatron is sitting on the Abraham Lincoln chair. You can clearly see his foot clip through the stairs. This is especially apparent because his foot is the closest thing to the frame, making the mistake hard to miss. There is another visual issue with this film, although it doesn't involve a Transformer. Sam's new love interest, Carly, must have brought a few extra pairs of shoes. Throughout the film, you can see her shoes change color and style. These are both little goofs in a film jam-packed with visuals. But hey, that's why you come here, to see those little things. Background extras and crew members accidentally appearing in shots have been a part of the cinema experience since its inception. Even in these highly budgeted movies, these simple mistakes still manage to slip through the edit. This happened at the end of Transformers: Age of Extinction. After a film full of retcons and changes, one of the most glaring mistakes occurs during the final fight between Optimus and Lockdown, with Cade doing what he can to assist. In a few shots, you can see a background extra in a gray suit, only for him to disappear in subsequent shots. Was he a stuntman that they cut? Why was he hanging out with Cade during this fight? All of these are great questions, with the most likely answer being that they simply didn't notice him in the shot until it was too late. The Transformers films are flawed, loud, and outdated in their portrayal of certain characters. Despite all of their flaws, there is something to be said for these bombastic depictions of many people's childhood cartoons. Michael Bay delivered on what every 8-year-old kid would want from a movie about robot cars. So perhaps there's more to these films than meets the eye.